It's the Easter holidays now, and I'm off on my way to a match this qualifier at Woodland View Fishery. Quite looking forward to this. I fished it last week on the Fishermania qualifier, and it was quite difficult for a lot of anglers, and it was red hot, and it was an out and out shallow day. You got one shallow, and I think all the backup weights were shallow fishing. There might have been one weight out of a corner, but there's a lot of shallow fishing. Pellet shallow and caster shallow both worked, and there was a bit of mugging on the waggler as well. Andy Powell won it. He's done mega. He's joined in the middle of front Deans on the lake behind me, and he's just stormed the match with about 150 £, and I think 109 £, was second, something like that. So I'm not expecting a huge weight today, but I think you're going to want 100 £, to make the top 3. The weather's been chilly. I've looked at the wet results for everyone who fished yesterday, and it seems like most of the lakes fished really pretty poor yesterday. I was on a Roll Snake Open, and that fished pretty hard as well. I've had 6 fish for 85 £, so there were some right zoo creatures. Well, one of them was 19, one was 18, and another carp was 17 £. So you didn't need many, but I was second with the 85 £, and the backup weights were pretty low. But looking at the results up and down the country, this cold wind we've had has really knocked the sport on a lot of places. I'm expecting it's a little bit milder today, so my fish in my pond are quite active, so you never know, it might fish. I think it depends on the pegging. Last week we were there, they'd gone 2 miss 1, and they're quite tight pegs anyway, so 2 miss 1's okay. Other than ours, Paul, the poor old buggers on there, that was every peg. So you just need a bit of room on these matches, as I always say, you just need room, and hopefully they'll peg it generously and give everyone a bit of a chance. So I imagine all the lakes will be in. Hay and Barley fished poor last week, and so did High Pool, which surprised me. I really fancied the middle of High Pool to do some weights, but no, didn't fish. It was all on front and back Deans. All the weights came off those 2 lakes. It might be the same today, we'll have to wait and see. It's changed a little bit since last year, since I was last year there. You've got blue pellets now, bright blue pellets. That's the fishery pellets, they dye all your nails blue and that. And also he's done a bit of landscaping on all the banks. It used to be really heavily undercut, and I imagine to stop all the erosion, he's backfilled all of that, and there's mud now, a good foot in front of where it all used to be. Very hard to find a flat spot from what I could tell on a lot of the pegs. So that kind of ruins margin fishing a little bit, but there'll be short pole fishing, shallow fishing, there might be some long deck fishing, might be a bit of waggler fishing. If you're on Hay and Barley, few pegs on Owls Pool, there'll be a little bit of short range feeder fishing as well. I used to fish there all the time, used to fish there Fridays, I used to fish every Sunday afternoon match there. I used to really bag up there. I've had a nice record on the place. I'm by no means a regular there now though, and it's easy to fall out of touch with Woodland View. But these matches, it's all won and lost at the drawback, and you've got to make the right decisions, and hopefully that will be me walking away with a place in that match this final at the end of it.
Well, let's get going. Okay, have a good day, guys. Enjoy yourself.
Well, I've drawn not where I wanted. I've drawn 16 on High Pool. It's not a peg I fancy. Yep. Yeah, you can slap. Yep. You can't tap. But you can slap, and you can tickle as well. A bit of confusion with the rules there. I've drawn 16 on High Pool. Don't really fancy it. I'll have a day's fishing. That's about it. I'm just too far down. You need to be where the sign is. It never changes really on here that much, and the wind's not even blowing this way, which doesn't help. Deep lake. It's one of my favourite lakes on the place. So I'm going to have a day's fishing, but I just don't think it's the right area. Plus Andy Power's drawn 63 on back deans with the wind going that way. I think that's pretty much game over. So anyway, I'm just putting the last few touches. I'm going to fish long pole shallow. There's a funny slope short, but it's a nice shelf, so I'm going to put them up in deep water halfway up and then right down the edges as well. I expect to catch some fish shallow long, maybe shallow short. Works definitely well on here, and I don't think it's going to be a massive weight on this lake by the looks of it. There's just not a lot of fish moving other than between the two spinners, which is what I kind of expected. So I'm just desperately trying to get all this ready in time. Longish lines to start with because it's quite a clear lake and the fish definitely back away from a pole tip. So last rig, I think we're almost done. I hope. The side tray looks an absolute mess. I'll show you this. There we are. Got casters, pellets, hooker pellets, some 6mm, bit of meat for the hook, an apple. Bit like carnage on there at the moment. It's not the neatest side tray, so I better hurry up and get ready. Well, it's the next morning, no fishing for me today, just tidying up the garage and mowing the lawn and all the things a man's got to do to keep the wife happy. And didn't quite go to plan yesterday. As it happened, High Pool was the worst lake on the day. Only 84 pound won the lake, and that's in the fancied area in the middle of the lake, which is like pegs 26, 28. I think there was an 80 and an 84. My bank got one with 53 pound. Again, very, very low weight. I've had about 40 something pound. I should have weighed in, but I've got an admission. I've started to feel really, really giddy with an hour to go, and I had a 20-minute kip behind my peg just to sort my head out. My eyes were going and everything. I don't know what happened, but I went to sleep behind my peg for 20 minutes, then went to my van trying to have something to drink, and went back to my peg, caught one more carp on the top kit, and then that was it. The match was over. So it didn't feel right going back to my van and weighing in afterwards. So I didn't bother. But I knew I wasn't going to win the section anyway. It's very rare for me not to weigh in, but it just didn't feel right on the day. And I didn't feel well at all. It was very, very strange. But I think it was the last 2 hours were absolutely awful, and everyone up my lake just was not getting a fish, not a bite. And you could see to the right there was fish between those two spinners all day. On High Pool there's two aerators, and they don't tend to veer one side of the aerator. Don't ask me why, but our end of the lake, every time I've been there, nothing comes that side of the spinner, and you can actually see muddy water actually being turned up by this sunken aerator in the middle of the lake, and nothing goes near them. So the fish just sit between the two. I could see them mugging on the far bank further up the lake, so that you could see that's where the bulk of the carp were. If you could see shapes to mug, then that's where they were. I started off okay, but then it just petered away, and then it was down to nothing. I went shallow, cast a shallow, just roach. I started off on pellet shallow, never had a single bite. Then switched to cast a shallow and tried to see if I could get through the roach and catch something. I went all the way down to 4 foot deep on the caster as well. Sometimes them big F1s are right underneath, but there's no F1s, never saw an F1. Later on I just completely stopped feeding that line, and then went back out with a bit of hair rig meat and slapped, not feeding a thing, and waited, and boom, I had one, and that just shows I just didn't want no bait. So I tried it again, never had anything. So, but it was a really, really difficult and funny day on our lake. The rest of the complex fished his absolute brains out. So Dave Roberts has won the match with £197 off the M peg, off hay. I think it was hay or barley. I looked at the pegging on those two lakes in the morning, and the end pegs had actually got 2 empty pegs beyond the end pegs, and I thought, oh, if the wind's going that way, you could have a right weight on there today, and that proved correct. So I've got the Sunday and Monday off in the garden and out with friends, and doing all the things I should be doing, and I'm just wondering when I'm actually going to start drawing one of these noted end pegs that I've used to have a reputation for drawing.